everybody. We're filming today. Oh my gosh, it's almost 12:30. I'm lost as usual. We're at the desert building. You can tell, cactus, beautiful things, but I can't find Steve. And we're supposed to be talking about venomous
Reptiles!
venomous
Reptiles!
venomous
Reptiles! Oh, hey!
Barb!
That worked! That was awesome!
It's like Marco Polo, but Steve and Wendy style.
But Steve and Wendy style. Hey guys, welcome to Zoo EDventures today. And what are we talking about? I'll give you one guess.
Venomous
Reptiles! Got some good stuff to share with you today. It's going to start back here in the back area of the desert. Come on, let me show you. This is so exciting. This is going to be cool. Check this out. We're back at the desert habitat, and we're talking about venomous animals today and how we take care of them. This is the speckled rattlesnake, and this is your view. When you come to check out the venomous animals, you come to the desert, you go to the nocturnal side, this is what the guest sees. This is what you guys see when you come to the North Carolina Zoo and you go to the desert habitat. This is a nocturnal. These habitats are all set up.
Oh, there was me. Hi guys.
And I want you to look at all this. All this is set up to give you that idea of where you are in a space. This is all to set a scene. Let's see what happens when our keepers, who are venomous trained, have to take care of venomous snakes. There you go. How about that? So Keeper Ellis is pulling that off so we can get into it from the front. To do any feeding or any maintenance and things along those lines. So we're so excited that we get to go back in the venomous holding space to work with Keeper Ellis in a safe situation and show you what more they do to stay even more safe while working with venomous animals. Let's go check it out.
Well, Steve, you gotta get out of the way.
No, it's my shot.
Look at guest seat.
This is
Get out the way.
so you'd be on that side of the picture of the video.
That is so cool.
So that's what you guys see when you come in.
There's the nocturnal hall. This is the snakes that you guys just saw. And we have a special guest.
You
Steve, tell him
do.
who.
We have Keeper Ellis with us. He's one of the keepers in the desert habitat, takes care of a lot of the herps, a lot of the reptiles, typically. I bet you do a little bit of everything as well in your life. But primarily reptiles. And he's got a really special opportunity for us. He's already taken one of the snakes out of their enclosure where they live. And it's in this can.
Ooh. And guess what? It's got a window. Oh, you can see it in there. Why would it have a window?
Let's ask Keeper Ellis.
The expert.
I have a window in there so we can see what's going on. Like sometimes we have them in cans for different reasons. We always have them out, put them in there when we need to open up the habitat for our safety and for theirs. So we don't want to knock something on them or have them try
sure.
to bite us. Sometimes we have them in there for feeding. We can look through the window, see if they've actually eaten yet. See if they're
Of course.
Yeah, you can see when they're done finishing their
Sometimes
meal.
when they're shedding their skin, we'll put them in there with some warm water and a rock to help scrape this skin off. So we can
Cool.
just kind of peek in on them, make sure they're doing all right. Because sometimes, you put some warm water in a can, put a lid on it, it gets pretty steamy in there. We don't want them to get overheated because they can't control their body temperature.
Sure.
Other than what we provide.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, no, neither. That's really cool.
That's cool. And since there's two snakes, sometimes you have two cans going?
Yeah, sometimes, like if we needed to clean the habitat if they had fecal or something, we would take both snakes out.
Yeah.
Put them both in a separate can most times. Occasionally you can double up, but we usually don't, just for safety.
Yeah. You got the extra can, you might as well use it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people like to eat in privacy and take their the sheds in privacy.
No, I do.
Yeah, we would never, in privacy, we would never feed them both together. So we
Oh.
always take one out and feeding,
Okay.
because we don't want them trying to eat the same piece of food.
Pull on
It's
back.
like
Tug of war.
it's like us trying to eat the same donut.
Yeah.
Oh.
Two snakes trying to eat the same rodent from opposite ends is kind of a bad thing.
Right.
Scenario you don't want. We don't want them biting each other when you're moving them. Sometimes they get startled, even though they do live together all the time and
Sure.
get along. So when you're moving one in and out, we always try to put one, as far away as we can.
Gotcha.
Because sometimes we're we're picking them up with hooks, even though we're very gentle as we can. They're still like, you know, as somebody swoop down and scoop you up with a hook, and you know,
Yeah, no,
it's like,
whoa, what's going on?
Well, and I'm pretty sure families at home during quarantine, all being together, after a while, you get annoyed with each
Well,
other.
that
Yeah.
separation time.
Roommates, families, it's all the same.
And you mentioned earlier, we've told you guys 1,000 times, we get to talk to the keepers a little bit beforehand, that they're relatively immune to each other's venom.
Yeah, they're pretty much immune to each other's venom, but it's still a wound. They have a puncture site, and it can get infected. So they're not going to have the effects of venom that we would if they did us. It's still, an injury that you don't want.
You still got a hole in your skin. Yeah. So you have hooks. Can you show our guests the hooks? How cool are these?
We have these hooks. They come in various lengths. The bigger the snake, the longer the hook.
Of course.
Typically, so we have some very small hooks for small snakes. So
Okay.
they're more
I'm
delicate.
gonna trade you places. Steve.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
I usually use 2 hooks. Some people use 1, but I find that 2 gives the snake a much better support, less injury to their ribs, because they're all ribs and spine.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a
If you got
great point.
Really big, heavy snake, you don't want to make a big kink in them where they're folded over 1 hook.
Yeah, check this out.
We use 2.
So I put this in your hook. So you can see they're all ribs.
Wow. A lot of people think
So-
they're just a head and a tail.
Yeah,
and
the tail is just back
we
here.
like to bust myths around here.
Yep. So that's the back end, just the only tiny tip of the tail.
That's
So he's going to try to support this animal, not this one, of course, but this animal in a couple different locations to give him as much support as he can with the hooks that he has. We do the same thing when handling our animals in the animal ambassador world.
Awesome.
Okay, Ezra, I'm going to stand as far back as I can.
All right, we're going to put this guy back on exhibit.
Okay.
We pop the door. We do it as much as we can with the hooks.
Yeah.
So there's still a snake in there.
Sure.
So we'll pop it just so we can get the hook in.
You pop it. I'm going to stay back here.
I've got this on the selfie stick as far as it'll go.
I'm getting behind Wendy.
Great, I'll be your
And we
human.
I'm behind
close
Wendy.
the cans like this. So
Open
that,
away.
The lid becomes a shield if we open it.
Well, you've heard that before.
And when we put it on, we put it and slide it so that
Oh, cool.
if the snake wanted to try and
That's neat.
strike up. We don't have any snakes here at the desert that are big enough to reach the top of one of these cans. But if you're down the stream side with the diamondbacks, they could easily strike to the top of this can.
Wow.
Sometimes you get them, we'll pick them up initially with 1 hook because they'll grab onto it better and balance. And they're pretty used to it. And then we'll try and support them in 2 areas so we can gently move them back into the exhibit.
kidding.
And we can let the door gently close and we push it.
And it's got these latches and you lock it, right?
Everything's locked with at least 1 lock, and everything in here is behind 2 panes of glass.
Yep.
Oh,
Everything's
sure.
So
double
you saw
protected.
this first pane of glass, like Ezra said, and then that second pane of glass that goes out to where the guests are. So all the work
Wow.
is done in this room. And
Holy cow.
our digital guests, I'm sure, can notice these signs. If Ezra can tell us about those, obviously that tells us something.
Every enclosure has information. If it's got a red feed card, it's a venomous animal, lizard, or snake. And
Oh, wow. Okay.
most of the ones that have venomous animals in them have a danger venomous placard on them as well. They have little information cards
Neat.
that tell us what venom type it is. Most of them are hematoxin, which attacks your skin and causes
Blood, yeah.
localized tissue death and necrosis,
Okay.
as opposed to like, a cobra or something that we don't really have. That's a neurotoxin, which attached to your
More
nervous system, and it
Yeah.
doesn't cause that localized tissue death that travels through your lymphatic system, and it starts shutting down your nervous system. So your breathing will slow down, your heart rate will slow down until
So,
you don't have it anymore.
We don't need any of that going on
No.
with these guys.
The only snake we have locally, which is all but extinct in North Carolina, is the coral snake that has a neurotoxic.
Right.
We don't have them at the zoo currently. We did previously.
Yeah. Yeah. So that neurotoxin, it's so hard here, kind of impacting the nervous system. So everything can slow down. It means to shut down. We don't have that here. We have most of the snakes that we have here are more hemotoxic, blood and tissue being impacted more so than the nervous system itself. All right, Ezra, I didn't realize the red feed cards. I knew about this sign. I didn't know
Yeah.
the red feed cards. That's kind of cool. So Ezra, worst case scenario, something bad happens. Somehow, through all the safety you guys have, somebody still gets bit. what might happen? What would happen? What would happen in this room?
First thing, our responsibility as the handler, even if after we've been bit, we have to contain that animal somehow.
Yep.
Like either get it back into its habitat, get into a can, even if we just turn the can upside down and plop it over top
Okay.
of it. And we would make a call into Zoo Communications on their
With your
radio or the phone that
radio, and there is a phone in here as well.
have been bitten, location, I'm in the venomous room at the desert, and what species I was bitten by, so they know, and they can start passing that on to the hospital. They'll call 911, get an ambulance on the way. As soon as we make that call, we've got an alarm on the wall, big red button over there.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
We hit that, it rings a bell in the back to alert any of the other keepers, which hopefully already heard the radio traffic and are responding. Any other keepers, and there's always at least one other keeper in the building that has to be notified that we're handling
Yeah.
venomous animals.
We hear
So
those radio
yeah, we
calls.
hear on the
those radio calls
radio,
all the
so
time.
we'll hear Keeper Ellis say, Keeper Overly, I'm working venomous, and then Keeper Overly would respond, yes, that means he's in the building, right? So
Yeah.
he's always in the building with you when you're doing venomous.
After that, whoever first responder is in would be one of the keepers, because they're already gonna be in the building, and then they'd try and calm me or whoever got bit down, get us to, sit down, lay down, gonna hold your bitten appendage, whatever, level with your heart, not above or below. So it's good to lay down and just keep it
So
kinda even with the heart.
don't do this because then you could be in
Yeah.
low still. So keep it level.
Don't really use the tourniquets or constriction bandages
Say
anymore.
that again, because everybody out in that world always wants to put on a tourniquet.
Yeah. Or suck the venom out.
Do not suck the venom out. That is another myth we can bust right
do
now.
not do that.
And then basically just try and stay calm and wait for the paramedics
Yeah.
to arrive, and they'll
Wow.
take us to the hospital and treat it from there.
Gotcha. Okay.
The
So
best
that-
thing you can do out of all of that, besides telling someone you've been bitten, is to stay calm.
Yes.
Literally, stay calm.
That keeps your blood, you don't want that blood pumping. You want that venom to kind of stay where it is as much as you can. You don't want to circulate any of that venom, so it is stay calm. Now, you just were bitten
Yeah,
by a venomous
it's hard
snake,
to
right?
say.
And we appreciate the fact that it may not be easy. But listen to all those layers and levels of safety. First 2 levels of glass. Then you have everything locked up. You handle them from far away. You have the hooks. You put them in a back can, lock the can down so nobody gets in the can. So all of those safety protocols are in place. Then if the really unfortunate were to happen, there's even additional safety protocols. Animal has been bitten, let's make sure we get that animal under control. Put them back in the habitat, or put a can in them, put them in the can or on the can, and then get help. So all of that. And there's a training program for this. Not anybody can do this. Only certain people in the North Carolina Zoo are trained on the venomous animals. Not everybody is done. So Ezra and Mike, even Wendy at one point.
Yes, I was
venomous
trained years ago.
So there are a few people here. Do you know how many are trained on venom?
On park, right now,
Ish.
I think
3,
we had 8. Not including me, because I'm out.
So seven
Out of how many employees do we have?
between 75 and 85 full-time full-time keepers.
Yep.
You put in everybody, you're over 200 staff, only 7 or 8 are venomous trained.
Yep.
It's a really big deal to be venomous trained at the North Carolina Zoo. And it's awesome that Ezra was able to give us some of his time today and kind of walk us through how they work with these, and they're dangerous animals. So thank you so much. Is there anything else we should tell the guests on how we do our venomous protocols?
I think I mostly
That
covered
covered
it.
it? Okay, good. Whew. Never know sometimes.
Yeah, I want to make sure we cover it.
So thank you so much again, Ezra. I'm sure we'll see you again in a little bit. We'll let you guys put back what you need to. How cool was that? Did you guys know that? When you're looking in the habitat, that's only part of the habitat. There's actually a whole nother habitat behind the glass you're looking into. And that rolls away, and they go into it and service the animals from there, take the animals out to feed. Really, really neat. And it's awesome to hear all the safety levels that have been put in place to make sure that everybody is safe and sound. Look at that beautiful lizard. This is a Gila monster. Gila monster. That name is so unfortunate because there's nothing monstrous about these guys. Look at that beautiful pattern. Kind of blotchy, splotchy look. What do you think that pattern might provide? Not the color, but the pattern. We've seen it in other animals here. Helps them camouflage in the desert space where they're found. It's also more brightly colored than you might think. Do you know any other animals that are brightly colored? When animals are brightly colored like that, what's one of the things that you know pretty quickly about them? Think like the dart frogs of South America. Yeah, that means that there's something, it's a warning color. Did you guys know you're looking at one of the few venomous lizards on the planet? Gila monsters are venomous. What? It's true. They're venomous. Now, they don't have fangs like the venomous snakes. They don't have a stinger like bees and wasps. But they've got a really cool skull. I bet he stays there.
We have Keeper Ellis keeping guard for us. He is venomous trained.
Yeah, we've met him. We might meet him. This is the skull. You'll see there's no fangs. And you see the bumps.
That's my favorite skull in our educational collection. Now, it's not a real skull.
No, but this is replica. But right size and shape. But the venom glands are in the back, and some of the teeth are grooved.
That kookaburra isn't very happy with us right now.
That's a kookaburra singing a song. But a couple of the teeth are grooved in the Gila monster's skull. It might be too hard to see in this one. So to inject the venom, they bite you, and then they chew the venom into you.
So they don't actually inject like a fang or like a bee.
Yeah. So into the wound, they kind of begin to chew, and the venom oozes along those teeth, going into the prey item.
Oh, wow.
They don't use their venom most of the time to subdue their prey. Their venom is actually used a lot for defense.
So those bumps on his skull are
can
actually in his skin, because the longest time I thought it was just the scales on his skin.
Nope.
But it's in, can we see the skull again?
Absolutely.
It was in the skull. It's just so fascinating. It's so cool.
Provides protection, provides a different look. Some people say it might even help gather water.
Oh.
See him sticking his tongue out, tasting the air. It's a really sensitive tongue.
I bet he can tell what our digital guest had for lunch.
That's a long way, but I'm not going to say no. You see that it's forked, just the tip of it, but the tip of it is forked, like you see with other venomous animals and snakes. It looks like he's shedding a little bit. Can you see that shed right behind his, right between his legs?
Yeah.
How about that? So he is a reptile. To grow, he has to shed that skin. He's a very good burrower, digging down into the soil. They'll even snag somebody else's burrow. They're not picky. Look at his tail. Since Wendy's going down to his tail there. It's actually very important. He lives where there's not a whole lot of food sometimes. Gila monsters found in the sunny southwest of the United States in the deserts. But if he's lucky enough to find a lot of food, he'll store the excess fat. He'll store that excess in his tail, and his tail will get real plump. Looks like he's trying to take a little walk. Oh, there he goes.
Ezra was telling us that this guy's pretty old.
Yes. Yep. Lifespan of these guys is really long. They're a pretty laid-back lifestyle, all things considered. But these guys can live 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Especially under human care when there's all kinds of vet care, food is available, and the keeper's providing that constant supervision, that constant observation of how the animals are doing.
And Keeper Ellis told us he turned 40.
Oh, that's right, turned 40 years old.
Something must taste good down there.
Yep. These guys are the largest native lizard in the United States. The largest native lizard. They can be 2 feet long. Wendy's got to do her best to try to find another shot.
I got him
You find him over there?
for a minute.
For a minute?
Yep. He's on the move. Remember when we took Porcupine Kelly for a walk?
Yeah, same space
Just
too.
just a little bit slower.
One really neat fact, we've talked about it a couple times in the past. That venom is being looked at and explored for its medical properties when you're getting a great shot of the claws. There's a protein in the venom of the Gila monster that's already been identified and studied and is being used now to help treat type 2 diabetes. They found a venom, they found a protein in the venom of the Gila monster that helps treat type 2 diabetes.
Wow.
And you're seeing that happen a lot. What are the products, what are the proteins in some of these materials? Copperhead venom being used to treat cancers, especially breast cancer. And the venom of the Gila monster being used to help treat, the protein in the venom, to help treat type 2 diabetes. Amazing stuff that's going on with these guys.
That's what I think people who might be nervous or afraid of venomous snakes, venomous lizards, maybe things they don't encounter or
Sure.
just get nervous to be around,
Yeah.
that they can stay far enough, a healthy distance away, but they can find a respect for it because they are doing something
Yeah.
beneficial for humans.
Yep. And people are observing and looking and trying to figure those kind of things out. So thanks to the scientists that are going down that path to see what's happening out there. They are a predator.
That's such a neat shot. It shows how well they can blend in,
Yeah.
get into tight spaces that my camera can't go, and how blending in with the rocks, blending in with the saguaro, skeletons basically. These are skeletons of a saguaro cactus, right? Is that what that? Yeah.
This is
Toya.
This is
Toya. He's so cool. Sorry, you were saying they were predators.
Yep.
I totally got you off track.
No, that's okay. They are predators. They use that tongue to track down prey. Just like a snake can smell, quite sort of. Remember, they're tasting the air with their tongue. So does the Gila monster track down its prey with its tongue. Small mammals, lizards, but eggs are really high on the Gila monster's wish list. Again, in the southwestern deserts of the United States. Hard to find. They are good burrowers. You saw those claws hanging out underneath the ground a lot of times. And that beautiful pebbly body. At the zoo, we also have the Mexican beaded lizard, the other venomous lizard. And scientists are studying all the time. For a long time, it was just those two. It was the Gila monster and the Mexican beaded lizard. Scientists are looking at a lot of the different venoms and all the material and some of the saliva of a lot of other animals, especially in reptiles and lizard world, and saying maybe there's other animals that are kind of venomous, the Komodo dragon, for example. But these guys are truly venomous lizards, as is the Mexican beaded lizard. How cool is that? So Ezra, thank you so much again for bringing out the lizard. Usually he's not out and about like this. This is not our guy. This is not his typical home out in the middle of there. But the zoo right now, as we're filming this on June 5th, the zoo is still closed. So we want to thank Ezra for bringing the Gila monster out so you guys can get a really close-up and awesome view of him. So thank you very much, Ezra. I think we're done on our end. Let's see what's next. Hey guys, so we mentioned the beaded lizards. So in this image, you can see on the right-hand side, that's a Gila monster. We met a Gila monster just a moment ago. On the left-hand side, the darker animal with more of the greenish splotches, those are greenish. That is the Mexican beaded lizard, also a venomous lizard. Gila monster on the right, Mexican beaded lizard on the left.
I really like these guys. I don't know if you know this, Steve.
What's that?
I worked in this building for 10 years.
It was 10 years?
10 years I was a zookeeper in this building, and one of my favorite things to bring up was the fact that we had both venomous lizards that were in North America here in our building.
Oh, that's a great point. I didn't say that. That's awesome, Wendy. Thank you so much. Yep, we have the only, and actually these guys are only found in North America.
Yeah.
They're found in the desert southwest of the United States into the deserts of Mexico.
And that's the reason why I was one of the people that was venomous trained here on Park, is
of course.
because I was mainly the mammal keeper here at the desert, but we were all cross-trained on the reptiles, the amphibians, the birds, all the different strings of animals that were here.
Right.
And so I was one of the lucky ones that made it through the venomous training. As
Whew.
klutzy as I am, I passed. And it was exhilarating, and
Really?
I still to this day am very proud of the fact that I did handle venomous snakes, because not a lot of people can say they have done that.
I cannot, and I don't know that I'd go through that, Wendy. That's pretty impressive. That gives me kind of the willies to even think about even being around some of these venomous animals. Now, they're not dangerous. They're going to be, they're not going to be coming after you or anything. But man, it's still, what an impressive thought. So congratulations.
Yes, and
on your
I was
venomosity.
Yes, I was very excited to come here because also these were some of my favorite people to work with. So
good.
We've been learning a lot about Keeper Ellis and Keeper Overly today, and they are two of some wonderful keepers that we have here on Park.
Well, I did a fantastic job today.
So we are in the nocturnal hall, so we are holding up some lights so we can see in here. There is another Gila monster over here. No, another beaded lizard here in the back that's hiding. So sorry, we have to use our phone lights to show you the habitat. Make sure you can see those two distinct, really cool lizards. Ooh, that's really good. You can see the color on the
green now a little
beaded better. Yeah. Looks like they're sleeping in a pool, because who doesn't want to do that in the summertime? Very cool.
So neat. Gila monster and beaded lizard. We're in the back side again. We're in the venomous holding area at the desert North Carolina Zoo. We're here with Keeper Ellis and Keeper Overly. And the female Komodo dragon. They're going to try to get her into this crate box. so they can get a weight on her. So get her in the box, get a weight on her back here in this space, and then the keepers are going to kind of do some enhancements to her habitat. So let's see what happens.
Really ready to get the food out of her.
Got the tools and food
Tools
going.
and food.
She knows exactly what's going on, so we got badge of time. Be ready.
So if you can't hear Keeper Ellis, he said she knows what's gonna happen. She saw the food, she sees the tools.
Crate box going down.
We're standing behind a table just for security, so don't mind the interesting filming.
And Steve's standing behind Wendy again.
Yeah. He likes to use me as his human shield.
Well, I need you to make sure you get a good shot, Wendy. That's all. So you can, there's the target hole again.
Over here. Target. No.
So he's trying to target her off the top of that crate. She
And
can't
she
go in
did.
it if she's on top of it. So very good job. Very good training and very good.
Look at that.
That was amazing.
That is what training does for you. So I'm getting everything together. So I'm using the target pole to get them inside. Didn't have to grab them, didn't have to grab her. She knew where she was going, she came inside. Now she's ready. They can get the weight on her. If they needed to transport her, they can put her somewhere, they can do that. They're used to being in that habitat. They get the weight now, and then work inside the space while she's out of it and do the enhancements they need to do.
It's
How cool was that?
It's basically like a dog crate, but
Yep.
made for a Komodo dragon.
Exactly. You guys have used crates and kennels before with your puppies and your dogs, I'm sure. You use them for your cats, take them to the vet. Same idea here. Just making sure that she's comfortable. She's been fed in there. She's like, okay, I know where I am. It's a different space, but it's safe, and I'm okay there. Nice job, huh? How cool was that?
Here, step.
Come over here. Oh, I was in the way of the scale.
Didn't want to have too much stuff in the middle of the floor.
Yeah.
Always a good idea with me or
I
mine.
say in case you
So here you go.
didn't stop and kept going over top of the crate. And
That was amazing, Keeper. Ezra, you're able to stop her, and she was like, you know what? Okay, I'll come down off here for you.
It was really good.
That was really cool to see. And for our digital guests to see that as well, how all that work paid off. Gonna bring her over.
How often do you weigh her, Ezra?
we try and get a weight on her at least every 3 months. But we've been swapping them on and off habitat every month and a half. So we try and get a weight every time we swap them.
Okay. So if you
So
didn't
she's-
hear Ezra, they get weights on there. They're swapping them on and off the habitat. You saw the male on the habitat a little bit ago. They're swapping them on and off the habitat every month and a half, you said?
Yes.
And then get weights about every 3 months.
So we moved her and forgot to get a weight on her, but we were going to get her back in the crate to add some perching into her the new enclosure. Those after we separate out the weight of the crate, and she's probably 6.5 pounds. Is 3
6.5?
6.5 pounds.
Roughly, like the male is he's right at 7. He's like 6.97 pounds. He was
Okay.
just over 3 kilograms. We weighed him a few days ago.
There's those fancy kilogram things again.
Not quite as heavy as you might think, but they're
Right.
gaining weight quickly. I mean, they were a few hundred grams when we got them.
Oh, wow.
So she's how much and he's how much?
She's 6.5 pounds. He's around 7 pounds.
The male we just saw on habitat?
Yes. Yep. Male's outside.
That's awesome.
And I was talking to keep her over a second because it's nice that she goes in the kennel and all. She goes into her transport crate without a problem. But how cool would it be if you had a larger scale? If the animal knows to target and station and stay, You might not need the crate over time.
Yeah.
You have a bigger scale, the animal walks on the crate, walks on the scale, and you're done.
Sort of like the ones we have in rhino or elephant.
I was just going to say, right now, we saw the one at Sea Lion. If you watched this, remember I got on it?
Yeah.
Oh no, I did that before you guys came on. Whew,
Yeah, he didn't want us to advertise his weight.
not a good idea. But kind of another neat thing to think about, that you can, if you have those basic skills down, if the animals know those basic skills, target, station, stay, that with the equipment, you might be able to get the animal on there, and even one less step you got to worry about.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So again, thank you guys so much. Alice, that was great. Mike over here behind us is our safety person. Got to have a safety person involved. What a great experience here at North Carolina Zoo. Venomous animals. Who knew it took so much? A lot of us did.
Yeah, we did.
We'll be back in a little bit. Hey guys. Komodo dragon.
Dragon.
I hear them. I think they're opening up the doors.
What are they gonna do?
We're gonna see a little bit of a training session and a feed at Komodo dragon.
Oh my gosh.
And they're little right now, but as the zoo's growing, these guys will be going into the new Asia expansion when that happens. We're so excited. I love
We
these
should probably
guys.
show them where the Komodo dragon's
Huge
at.
lizard. They're up high right now.
Why would?
Well, I don't know if you can see that.
I can get him. Yep, he's way up here. You see him up there?
So he's up high. The juvenile, the young, are really good climbers. Our keepers have actually told us that they can go straight up these walls. When they're young, that's really important.
Oh, here
because-
they come. I see the door opening.
I'll tell you why in a second. Ah, it's so
Another
cool.
secret door for our digital guests.
Gotta love the secret doors. We love being able to show you guys some behind the scenes stuff. Keeper Ellis is with us again. He's gonna do a little bit of a target, and we'll see what happens. They're kind of still in the process of training everybody here. So we'll see what happens.
He's looking at him.
Yeah. Keeper Ellis has a target pole. We've seen those before. Remember Kelly the porcupine had one. Nick the polar bear had one. There's a target. Well, he's aware of it. This is a big lizard, guys. And he's aware of that target pole already.
Why would they train a lizard, Steve? I mean, it's a big lizard.
It's a what?
It's a big lizard.
One more time?
I mean, what's a medium-sized lizard?
No, it's a big lizard. When these guys are done growing, he might be 10 or 11 feet long.
Oh.
Let's watch the strength. And he's venomous too, or at least very dangerous
yeah,
in the
I
bite.
mean, that makes a lot of sense.
How cool is this? Watch how strong, guys. Watch how strong. He knows he has to put his nose on that. There he goes. And a little hopper mouse, a little young mouse. Frozen, that wasn't live.
They come in frozen, Steve, and they warm them up, unthaw them to body temperature so it's not still frozen.
Right?
We might have scared them a little bit.
Yeah. Bring him back
There's
down.
a lot of glare on the glass, sorry guys. We'll get the best shot we can for you.
So yeah, so the keepers here, Keeper Ellis in this instance, Keeper Overly helps as well, other folks in the desert habitat. That target training behavior is really important because if you can target the animal around the habitat, you can see them moving, you can make sure everything looks good, you can maybe get a look at the tail, you can get a look at the body. The other thing you can do is move them around in the habitat itself. Let's say we want to get them off of there to look at something. And it's all choice-based, guys. So the Komodo dragon, this is a young male. He hears my voice, so I may be a little confusing to him too, so I need to be a little quiet for a sec. And as you're learning, as you're training the behaviors, the animals have to learn that, just like we have to learn. So he has to go, I see that orange ball over there. Last time I kind of went towards it, that was kind of good. And there was that one time I touched it with my nose, and I got something. So I wonder what happens next. So Keeper Ellis is going to keep on with that idea. As the animal comes closer to it, as the animal touches it, give him that reinforcement. This is called positive reinforcement. And it's all choice-based. If the Komodo dragon says, you know what, I'm done, Ezra's going to say, okay, I'm done with the session, and he'll leave. It's not a success or a fail thing. It's what you get, what you get. You work with the animal as much as you can, and you see what kind of behaviors you can get to have happen.
So it's sort of the same thing you do with your dog. You ask your dog to sit, they sit, and you give it a dog biscuit.
Right.
But it's just a lizard and a mouse instead of a dog and a dog biscuit.
And a really big lizard.
Yeah, can you imagine when these guys are full grown?
They might be 8, 9, 10 feet long.
How many pounds?
Oh, 500, 600, 700 pounds
Yeah,
as an
how do
adult.
you ask a 500-pound lizard to get on a scale? I mean, you can only ask so nicely, but if they're trained,
Absolutely.
you'd be able to show them that target pole and they would come wherever you're directing them.
Yep. Some of you may have seen the alligator, remember? Do you guys remember way back with the alligator when we did that? They were trained to actually do voluntary blood draws from the tail. Maybe that's something you'd want to do with these guys. You don't want to anesthetize. You don't want to sedate animals if you don't have to. That's dangerous for any animal, even people sometimes. So if we can avoid sedating animals, Kelly the porcupine. You guys remember Kelly? They were actually training her to take injections by the hand. The gorillas. All so much going on here in vet care, in medical care,
And all by choice.
that the animals choose to participate in.
So cool. And here he goes. He's choosing finally
choosing
to
to
come down.
participate.
Different way.
I'm gonna be quiet.
He just got another of the hoppers, so he targeted that orange ball at the end of that pole, and he got another hopper.
Gonna move them down a little bit further. You might have noticed that the door is open out here. That's okay. There's a secondary door.
Yep.
There's a secondary containment door. There's a safety door. So this door can be open. That's okay.
And there's actually another person, Keeper Overly, is behind that door. So,
Yeah.
like we mentioned in another segment, when they work venomous, there's always someone that is working that knows they're doing it or is in the building and knows that he is working with venomous animals.
Great point. Those of you with keen eyes have noticed that he does use that
Oh, did it again.
tongue.
Now he doesn't want to let go of the tongs. He grabbed the hopper and the tongue.
That actually looks like the mouse, Wendy, I think. I think that's the actual mouse. They get a mouse and a couple hoppers at a time, I think, on Mondays and Fridays. They get a mouse and a couple hoppers. And I think Wednesday he said they get
Fish.
Was it capelin fish?
Capelin
Yeah.
on Wednesdays.
Yep.
Mice and hoppers on Mondays and Fridays.
Yep. Let's see if he'll climb down.
Now, the final goal, and it might not happen today, that red target on the floor. That is a target that he is hoping
Wow, got him
to
moving
get
around.
him on.
No, they're not herbivores. They are straight carnivores.
Here he comes. This is so awesome. We're keeping our distance and trying to be a little more quiet because the zoo has been closed, so there has not been guests. So maybe us being here is causing the lizard a little bit of confusion. Did you hear that click, Steve? What
Yeah.
was that click?
The click is telling, so Ezra, Keeper Ellis, told, in quotes, the Komodo dragon, click, you did right. You put your nose on the pole, click, you did right. Because it's hard to feed immediately, so the click tells the animal that you did something right and that there's something good coming. So it kind of tells the Komodo dragon something good is coming. Hands-on, tactile, that way it's reducing that impact. So if you do put a hands-on, later on the animal's used to that. Oh, that's okay. I've been touched before, nothing bad happened. I'm okay with that. So I don't have to worry about being touched somewhere. You can see him using the hook right now again, so the lizard realized, oh, nothing bad is happening. It's just a little bit of a tactile sensation on his back, on
And you
his side of
can
his
see
body.
it doesn't stress the lizard out because the lizard could very easily run away if
Yep.
he did not like what Ezra was doing.
And he's just staying there,
He's
right?
just hanging out. And you know, when these lizards first came, they were smaller, they were handled.
They were handled a
They
lot.
were been on the news. They're sort of famous, Steve.
They are sort of famous. Komodo dragon. They're an apex predator in their habitat. They're the #1 predator in their habitat. Watch him climb. Watch him climb. Straight up. Wow. Are you kidding?
So that was still a very successful training
Straight
session.
up that wall. Ezra, would you call it a successful training session?
Yeah, we just swapped and moved him back out here onto this habitat. So he's been in a holding area.
Yeah.
So he's just getting readjusted and how to move around. And he's
Gotcha.
grown a bit since he was out here last time. So some of the perches, aren't as comfortable to him. So,
Right.
So yeah, I mean, he responded. He was a little bit slow. It's a cloudy day. Isn't as hot as he is some days.
Oh, didn't even think about that.
And when I was pulling his head around with it, I could get the tongs away. That's a purpose thing we do to exercise their neck muscles. You got to make sure that you develop Komodo dragons' neck muscles as well, or there's some problems they're finding in older dragons in zoos that they get
kidding.
overweight and they've just been fed easily off tongs, not had to fight for anything. Because normally in the wild, they're shaking their heads, ripping and shredding, and
They
pull
are
chunks of
fighters.
flesh off of something. So they really develop their neck muscles, and if they don't get developed, then they develop spinal problems later in life. So we do a bit of that when they latch onto it. If we can keep it in there, we wiggle the tongs, trying to make them, wrestle with us a little bit before we let go of the prey items. It's a workout.
So a whole other level of work. I'm gonna say they're at the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We learn something new all the time.
I did not know
That's
that,
awesome.
and it makes total sense though.
Yeah.
Because
As
in
they-
the wild they do, right? They're shredding and tearing and grabbing and moving all around the place.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We'll
to
do
build
different
this
things,
up.
larger prey items where they'll have
That
to.
is awesome.
We'll put it on a cable or affix it to something to where they'll have to
They're gonna have to
grab
really
it
tug it.
and wrestle with
Oh,
it
that's
and
gonna
pull on
be
it.
cool. Oh,
and
that's
tug
gonna
on
be
it
so
a little
cool.
bit. They're not really quite ready for that, and we're using most of their diet for the training right now. So.
That's awesome.
Well, that was really cool.
Thank
Edward.
you.
Once again, thank you so much. Komodo dragon. Who knew you had to work out their neck muscles? So some amazing things going on here, and all of that to share with you at the zoo. Just amazing levels of care they're providing their animals, and things you wouldn't even think about. Let's build up their neck muscles, because they're through science, through research, they're finding if we don't do that, sometimes there's a little bit of a challenge that might come about. So Komodo dragons. Hey y'all, I hope you enjoyed today's Zoo Adventures, all about
Venomous.
reptiles.
That joke's never gonna get old, Steve.
That was our Marco Polo entry, which is cool. So yeah, we learned about Gila monsters and beaded lizards. Wait a minute, so, there's so much. Komodo dragons, Gila monsters, beaded lizards, and how they take care of and are really safe when handling any of the venomous reptiles here at the desert habitat of the North Carolina Zoo. Fun little shout out. We'd like to shout out to Penelope, Keeper Ellis's daughter, and Acacia, Keeper Overly's daughter. Thank you so much for letting us borrow your dads for today to help us film this amazing segment at the North Carolina Zoo's desert habitat. Thanks very much. We hope to see you again soon on Zoo Adventures. Bye, y'all.